Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of What the F Fridays.
Exciting.
Yes, so exciting. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. I'm here with,
Presenza, otherwise known as the Moo Cow. Moo.
and if you notice something different, we're outside.
It's
My house. And I decided, why not? Well, actually, it was Paul's idea to do it outside because he took a look outside and said, why don't we try it out there? It might be more fun.
It looks nice. It's cool. We got enough light, and we got
enough light.
this cool brick wall. We don't have to use a green screen. And
No. And that's usually we're at a couch or something. We're at chairs that don't have backs to them right now because it's still winter. We don't have cushions, so we don't have the cushions out in the winter.
Fortunately, my tush has its own natural cushion going on.
So your tush is fine.
My tush is fine.
All right. I guess that's all that matters.
Speaking of tushies,
I don't know where you're gonna go with this, but all right. We're gonna be talking about the 2001 film Happiness of the Katakuris.
yay!
And so Paul comes in and I show him that we're doing this, and I have to ask him if he's seen it. What was your answer?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He's seen it. And I mean I had a feeling he had, but I wasn't sure because sometimes people say, oh, they want to see it, they just haven't gotten around to it or something.
Yeah, sure.
And so wasn't sure. But guess what? He had seen it and he loves it. So we decided that's what we're gonna do.
Wacky Japanese or wacky Asian films, sign me up, please. Twice.
No. So I bought this movie recently because I'd seen it with my friend. We'll get into that, I guess, in a second. But I seen it with my friend Vittorio, and he's actually on a lot of my podcasts now and stuff. So that's fun. But we would do like Sunday night movie night kind of thing. And sadly his work schedule just changed, so we're not doing that right now, and we might have to change the date from Sunday to something else. But anyway, because you have to adjust to life, and shit. But we decided, like, he had showed me a digital sort of a rip from a digital copy of Happiness the Categories.
Which is what I had.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, because I didn't know anything about it. I'd never seen anything by Takashi Miike. I didn't know anything. I was just like, okay, I'll watch it. And from the very beginning, I was like, what the hell am I watching? So I ended up really liking it and having it in my head. And then I saw an arrow that on eBay they had a copy of it for like 15, $20 and stuff. So yeah, Blu-ray.
Great. Look absolutely fabulous.
So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick this up. And then I realized it was like, I don't know if I think it's it might be all region, but I think it's it's some kind of region B. And so I wasn't sure if it would play on the one at the studio, and I don't think it will.
God, I hate these stupid region things.
I know.
Do it.
They get all region everywhere all the time, but whatever.
Plus, we like movies, Japanese movies too, damn it.
I know. And Japanese movies likes our movies. Like, I don't see why they have to do that.
Money.
It's not our
money.
It's not our problem. So this was region B from UK, kind of release. And I didn't get it from the UK though. I got it from America, an American.
Oh yeah. And if you have it all regions Blu-ray player or even DVD player, you can get.
Most 4K players allow all region to play on all regions.
I find that it turns out, at least on mine, you have to actually go in there and program it, which is like bad.
No, I was lucky. The ones that we have in the house, we have the same 4K player in the house, mine and my family's, and the family one is one we used today. And it worked. It was fine, perfect.
It's good because trust me, if you like this movie, and you should because it's fun and wackadoodle weird, you are definitely going to appreciate it on 4K because the colors are all super saturated. They pop. The clarity is amazing, and it adds so much more to the experience.
Just to be clear though, this is not a 4K release. This is a Blu-ray. Okay, so what happens is in 4K televisions they upscale it to 4K. So it probably could even look better if they did 4K.
It's almost 4K. I think that's how upscale it works. It's like 398K or something similar.
It's close.
Really close.
Now you said you've seen it. Where did you see it? Do you remember? first time you watched it? Because you said you only seen it once.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing it back in the day. This would have been, I guess, 2003, 2004. And I saw it on one of my weird websites that I go to, and
On the
it-
sketchy Russian porn site?
well, not that one because I hadn't found it yet, but this is a movie that has a reputation. This and a few other Japanese movies, if you swim in the waters of weird films like I do, this is one that gets talked about a lot. So if you go to Reddit or you go to other places, it gets mentioned a lot.
Mhm.
And then if you find a movie like that, you put the title into YouTube, you'll usually come up with a trailer or people talking about it, and that's what you end up doing. Then you go to
Yeah.
Internet Movie Database, you start doing a little research, and it becomes pretty clear that this is definitely one of the movies that you want to add to your collection. So for a long time, well, I mean, I don't know about the DVD, but yeah, at least the Blu-ray, you couldn't get it in this country. So again, you're forced to get it where you can, and I got a ripped version of it, and that's what I got to see. But
Now you can, I mean, if you go on eBay, you can buy it for like 20 bucks.
Yeah.
And I think it's well worth it. I mean,
these people just understand if you just release the movie in the country so we can actually watch it, then you're not gonna have people pirating stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I
yeah,
would never do that if I could just buy it,
right. Exactly. You're kind of by some chance that companies are actually putting the pirating and more by doing that.
I mean, if my choice is never get to see the film or get it some way other than buying it legit, what way am I gonna choose? I'm gonna get the
Mhm.
movie. Crazy.
Exactly. All right. So the story of this movie.
Good luck.
I'm gonna try to read the back.
There
You know, what, I'm gonna cheat. If I can read the back. All right. From Takashi Miike, the prolific director of such shocking hits, including Audition and Ichi the Killer,
Oh yeah.
comes The Sound of Music meets Dawn of the Dead.
If you know Ichi the Killer and Audition, those are crazy movies too, but they're nothing like this.
This one goes a little bit above and beyond. And I think it's basically supposed to, or whatever.
Because those movies, there's a lot more gore and violence in those other movies, and this is a completely different tone, a completely different, more lightheaded, lightheaded too. There's like claymation, there's singing, there's all kinds of fun wackiness going on.
It's a lot.
That's stuff that's not in those other movies, trust me.
The Katakuris are a family trying to run a peaceful country inn, but with a lack of guests. There's much excitement for their first visitor until he winds up dead. As each guest in turn dies in strange circumstances, the family agree to hide the bodies, but will the cover-ups come back to haunt them? In Happiness, the Katakuris, scenes of grotesque stop-motion animation. It's not stop motion. I think it was more claymation.
Yeah.
Surreal musical numbers and zombies combined to make one of the finest horror comedies ever made.
I mean, it was just missing puppets. If it had puppets, it would have been even better.
Yeah. So the movie, I guess, starts really with them as the Katakuris. We kind of get introduced to them. They do some songs, whatever. Then they're waiting for their first guest because they have a guest house that's
They haven't had any guests yet.
Yeah, and they're trying their best.
It's like I bought it here because there's this big road coming through. It just hasn't come through yet, so there's nobody showing up.
Right. So they're waiting for the big road, but it still hasn't come. So they have to find, they hope that a guest shows up, and thankfully one does. And then he does die, but it's suicide. And they're all of them are looking for the will, and they realize something's written down there, and it's Peach.
Or like a send-off letter, or
goodbye
something. Cruel world, or here's the reason why I did this.
And they find something, and they scratch it over, and it's just the word peach.
Oh no, it's more than that.
I thought they said peach.
They did, but there's an actual picture. There's a pornographic picture there too.
I didn't even notice that. That's something I can go look back at one later. I don't know. So then later, they are waiting for another guest after they buried this one. They're waiting for another guest.
Because the reasoning is, if anybody finds out that this person our first customer came here and killed himself, nobody's ever going to come to our place again. and which is dead, what I was telling Moody, dead 100% accurate in Japan, not in the United States, where people, they find out about that, like, oh, let's go there, that'd be fun.
Well, yeah, we're calling it like the suicide house,
And that's the thing, it's like, God, imagine if they had set this movie next to the suicide forest, the famous suicide forest in Japan. It's like, oh, you picked a bad place to set up your business.
Right.
Oops.
Maybe that is with the forest, because there's a forest right next door. I don't know. But so there's that happens. And the guy is so creepy in the beginning. Like he's like telling what the criminal guy, the ex-con brother or whatever, son.
The wallet stealer.
Yeah, the wallet stealer. He says to him, if you knew you were gonna die tomorrow, what would you do tonight? And I'm like thinking,
red flag.
And I was like thinking, I would do everything I'm normally doing. Like, I would not do anything crazy just in case it didn't happen, or whatever. You said you'd sleep, and
yeah. Well, I'd probably eat pizza and chocolate chip cookies and then go to sleep, because they're the
you would
three things I like
indulge
best.
and
Yeah.
overindulge in things that you enjoyed. I'd watch a bad movie, a stinky movie. You'd have to pick something you've never seen, because
Or something I love and can't live without.
Actium Maximus.
For your height only, probably.
Actium Maximus.
That would be yours.
No, that would not be mine.
I've not watched Actium Maximus since the last time I showed you.
Hard Rock Zombies. Come on.
Well, maybe Hard Rock Zombies.
Blood Predator. So anyway, it was such a so the guy dies, gets buried. They're waiting for their potential next guest, and it turns out it was the sumo wrestler was next.
And his little
teenage chick. It was looks like just a teeny tiny girl. She looked like 6 years old or something. It was so gross. She was 13, but she looked young.
She looked, I don't know, I would have thought 16. I think she was a little younger than that, but she's twee. She's definitely small.
Yeah. And then
she's smaller than him.
Yeah.
He's huge. He's like 4 times her size.
And then we find that out because he has a heart attack while having sex with her and died. And
kind of goes
right and squishes her to death. And when they go, I love that part when they go up and they're freaking out because they're like, what do we do? Like they say, like, chop them up.
At one point. Mom.
Yeah, the mom said that.
Mom said that.
Yeah, chop them up. And then he they end up saying, like, they notice something is under him. So they push him over to the side and see it's like in her face.
Who probably asphyxiated as opposed to being crushed, really. But
well, it looked like her mouth was open. And so I was wondering, like, it looked like he was having sex with her, but was he?
Well, again, asphyxiation, she was probably trying to breathe because laying on her chest, she probably couldn't breathe.
Right. Yeah. God damn.
That's anyway, a bad way to go. Trust
me.
The thing is,
I don't think there's any good way to go, though.
When mom is like, just chop them up, I'm like, it's really hard to dispose and chop up a regular body. Not that I've done it, but trust me, it's not easy. Imagine doing that to a 600-pound sumo wrestler, and then having to have to drag. Yeah, no.
So they end up like, I guess, like hoisting him down. And
so much easier
with this rope, and it was oh my god, it was tough. And then it just like lands and stuff, and they don't care because it didn't splat or anything. It was like, so they end up taking the body and burying it, or whatever with in another area.
I assume they got a track hoe or something to drag his big fat huge ass out there because he was a big boy.
So meanwhile, mom is like, or not mom. I guess was it what was she?
Shizu
or something, or
Shizu, the daughter,
like the daughter. Yeah. She ends up meeting this guy who claims to be an American U.S. Navy guy who has.
Oh, he's got this long hair, and he's got this. It turns out it's a costume Navy uniform on, so it's like you got a Navy uniform, but you're a pilot for the U.S.
Well, first he says he's in the U.S. Navy, and then he claims he's in Air Force because she hears all these like bombs and stuff when he calls her. Just
that he claims he's part of the royal family and that his mother's the niece or something.
I'm like, why wait? You're getting all your stories like completely. And this girl, you said she was desperate. She
Desperate. She
believed anything.
buys everything.
And so
because she's divorced.
yeah.
And I guess the one thing we should say is that from the moment the movie begins, this is actually being told from the point of view of the little girl.
But grown up.
But grown up. So it's kind of like
A flashback kind
yeah,
of thing.
or a dream, not a dream, remembrance.
Yeah, she's remembering the time that, all this crazy shit happened, or when she was a kid. Oh, we forgot there's a Poochie. There's a Poochie, the nice
Little
dog.
white dog,
Little
so
sweet
cute.
dog. Reminds you of Lady, which was one of our dogs. If you've seen season 1, you would have saw Lady.
And Poochie was one hell of a lava surfer, let's put it that way.
We saw some lava, but we'll get to that in a second. So the sumo wrestler and his chick dies. The girl meets this guy, and then they're waiting for like the next potential guests, and it turns out the next guests are this like family. One of them like is playing, one of the girls is playing a flute, and stuff. And
they keep like waiting for them to something horrible to happen because that's all that's been going on.
Yeah. So they end up already preemptive digging a hole for them.
Because they figure, why not? It's just going to happen.
And so before that, like when they're finished digging the hole, the family comes up to them and says, "Bye, we're leaving." And so nothing bad happened to them. And they're like, "Oh, okay. What are we gonna do with this hole?" Until somebody just literally flies into the hole, and shit. So it's like, what? See, and then once again, this is a what the F Friday.
And then of course Grandpa's first thing to do is start burying him.
Start burying him, but he's alive.
He's alive, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then the guy gets up, and so they take him, put him, kind of knock him out, kind of put him in. Oh, by the way, we forgot to mention the crazy US Navy guy comes to I don't know if he came to stay, but I think he came to stay, but he came to steal as well. So he stole like an ashtray, some other stuff, and gets into a fight with Grandpa, and that goes into some claymation. And
that's the last guy you want to mess with because he's really good with a block of wood several times. Not only does he bonk people over the head with it, but
throws it,
hits eagles flying away like a quarter of a mile away. Hits them right out of the sky.
He loves that block of wood. So anyway, he ends up, I guess they end up killing that guy. He kind of falls into the ravine, and
it's good because he's a jerky.
Yeah. Which we didn't care about, but I guess they didn't have to bury him, or whatever. So then this other guy that fell into the hole, wakens up, and he freaks out, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And he like doesn't, whatever. And but he's like, apparently what he was doing before was running away from the cops.
Right.
So like that's all he's thinking about. So he runs back into the house, like climbs it through the window, and the family's just like, what is going on here?
He takes Mom hostage.
The cops come, and I said to you, don't send the girl in, send like one of the guys in.
Yeah, don't send Mom.
Yeah, because you don't know who that guy is, and of course Mom gets captured and kidnapped and taken over, and the cops come, and then they think the cops are for them, but the cops are for that guy. And then the cops, there's this one cop that already stopped by that has really weird looking teeth.
Oh God, he was really spindly as hell.
Yeah, so he comes over there and he says, "I want to take, we want to check your visitor log, and we want to see because there's this guy who's running around. We're trying to catch him." So the guy comes out with Mom, with a knife to her throat, and is threatening her and stuff, and it's just.
And Dad begs his way into letting her go, and the cops get the guy, and then there's a big explosion.
Yeah, with the volcano.
And he gets away, and then the cops chase, and then the lava starts to come down, and there's some lava surfing by Poochie.
There's lava surfing. Because you were like, "Oh, he knows how to like handle that log, or whatever." Jumping
That's what she said.
On a big log, and he's flying through the lava, and then
what was he doing way up there?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's, we are not even following Poochie at times. We have no idea what Poochie's doing half the
mean,
time.
Most of the way through the film, you keep expecting somebody to just wake up and say, "Oh, what a weird dream."
Yeah.
You
And
know?
we thought that happened because he did wake up. The father woke up and looked around, and it turned out to be it turned out to really have happened.
Yeah, the lava pushes the house out of the area where the road maybe never happened and pushes into this nice, beautiful area with lots of elephants and lakes.
Over by the road too, where they'll get lots of traffic and
Yay,
stuff.
happily ever after.
Yeah, and then they do one last song with no, they did the zombie song before, and stuff. And just, but they do this one last song to talk about how
But
happy they are.
People trapped in the lava, the cops and the guy they're chasing, they're singing.
Yeah, they're
kinda
all
dancing
trapped
too.
in. Yeah. So it's kind of silly and goofy and really it's one of those movies where you're just like the whole time you don't know what the hell is gonna happen next, really. I mean, I'd seen it one other time and it was still sort of new. Like I said, I remember the sumo wrestler guy. That's all I remember. Because that was such a memorable
Not,
scene.
not the fly up the nose bit.
I don't know. I don't remember.
no.
Or the random guy on the television that looked like that was a girl, but it was really a guy, and he's just
Well,
singing.
the opening is what always gets me because that reminds me of another weird Japanese movie whose name I think it's like Funky Forest, something or other.
Keith Forrest.
Yeah, I have to show you that one. That's weird. That's
Oh,
much
God.
even weirder than this one. But
Oh,
there's
wow.
this weird claymation baby thing going on where it steals the ova from the woman and eats it, and the bird eats the baby Cupid thing, and there's this really weird opening and that's one of the criticisms I have is that it starts off in a very, very weird, strange place. And while it's wacky, it doesn't really go with that. It sort of sets that up, but you're not really following through with a bunch more of that stuff.
It's not
Little bit.
wacky all the time.
Right,
Like you did
right.
say, when you're watching it, it gets wackier and wackier. It does at times. It gets wackier
But
and
in a
wackier.
different way.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing. That opening reminded me a lot of what's the Pink Floyd's The Wall, and how that animation style and everything and how wacky and weird and and
Out of nowhere.
out of nowhere shit would happen.
Disjointed.
Yeah.
Strange.
Which I liked.
And it's interesting because Mukau famously hates musicals.
Yeah.
Because mostly, they're trying to become a big hit. So they're very bombastic, they're very in your face, they're very loud, blah, 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 blah. This is different. This is just a musical that has these numbers that they don't really seem to really be much of anything. And they're just sort of there to help the movie along. They're not bombastic, they're not crazy. And I didn't really mind them so much. There's a bunch of them, but they're not really that bad. They don't bother me.
They're not bad at all. So I mean, it didn't never bothered me, but I like musicals, so I'm a little bit different than you are in that respect. But that's fine because not everybody has to like everything, or whatever. So, but I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. I'm looking forward.
This film has a little of this and a little of that.
I'm looking forward to more What the F Friday movies this year because we're really trying to get things that people may never have heard of.
Told you, man. There is some crazy wackadoodle fun Asian cinema out there that we could do a whole show of nothing but that kind of stuff.
You said you got some that might be coming on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's really funny that I'm the one doing this first one, the opener like that, because I don't generally look for international films, or whatever. I'm not as, I don't know that much about it, and that, but I just remember seeing this movie going and I was like, this has to be on the show at some point. And so perfect for the season.
Well, and it's a good choice too, because I'm telling you, Ichi the Killer and the other one, Audition. The tone is completely different. Those are more like torture porn kind of movies.
Did you know that Takashi Miike, before he did Audition, had done 39 films already?
Yeah, he's done a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot, and I was watching this because, all right, we'll mention what's on this, but there's a lot of cool special features. there's an audio commentary track with the director Takashi Miike, the making of the Katakuris, an original documentary from the film's production featuring interviews and behind the scenes footage with the cast and crew. You got to see Takashi direct, and that was kind of cool. And then there's interviews with the Katakuris cast members, Kenji Sawada, Kaiko Matsusuka, Kiyosho, Ami. All right, I'm not gonna say any of these names anymore because I'm gonna be effing them up. But like the casting crew, animating the Katakuris, a look
really
at the
cool.
creation of the film stop motion effects with animation director at Hideki Kimura and Miki. Dogs, Pimps, and Alligators, or Agitators, Agitators, a visual essay on Takashi Miike by Tom Mez, and trailer, TV spots. Oh, also, I believe Tom Mez does a commentary track as well. It doesn't say that on here, which is weird, but I do remember.
And if you're a fan of this director, this is a movie that will show you just how wide of a skill he has. Because again, if you're coming from Audition and you're coming from Ichi the Killer, you're kind of not going to expect this kind of a film. It's just as crazy, but those movies are much darker, much more violent, much more gory. And this, while it's got wackiness and it's got a little bit of gore and stuff, the tone is completely different.
Yeah.
A lot more fun, a lot more, just kind of throwing caution to the wind and experimental.
Silly.
Very silly, but a lot of fun. It was just,
it's like Monty Python.
Yeah.
And the guys who made Shaun of the Dead and a bunch of other people decided to make a movie that, this would be pretty much the kind of movie it would be, and stuff. So,
and we found out that there apparently is a Japanese word for asshole used several times. I had no idea.
I didn't know either. Not aware, but hey, it worked.
Nice
asshole and idiots were said a lot.
Nice to see that we've been corrupting the Japanese or they've had this in their language for a long time.
And we stole from them.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's funny.
But anyway, yeah, that's it. I mean, this might be a shorter What the F Friday, but
it's like an anime on acid, a live action anime on acid.
I just told you everything that happened in the movie, and like us telling you that is not enough. This is actually on Tubi.
Yeah,
you can see it on Tubi.
Go to Arrow and buy yourself.
Buy yourself.
Trust me, you want this.
There was the documentary also had some stuff on that Dogs, Pimps, and Agitators is a fantastic 20-something minute documentary about Takashi Miike's film career and the fact that he did not want to be a film director. I mean, that wasn't what he set out originally. He got in trouble in school, and they kind of made him be part of the set of a movie because for his punishment.
Your punishment is go make a movie.
I think is what I remember seeing, and then I was like, "Wait, what?"
No one punished me like that.
And then he enjoyed working on the films and stuff, and then he ended up kind of continuing to work his way up, became an assistant director, and then he became a director because somebody who was supposed to direct fell out. And you hear this all the time, like that's how Alfred Hitchcock, became it and whatnot. It doesn't happen as much today. It's usually today is somebody goes out and makes their own movie and then is able to run a set and stuff their own stuff. I mean, it's a little bit different, but it's kind of cool to hear how they did it. And then he just went on and kept making movie after movie after movie from the 80s and 90s. And
so does Arrow have the other films, Audition and Ichi
I think
the
so.
Killer?
I know Audition. Wow. I bet Ichi the Killer.
That's as well. Great. Yeah, I have to pick them up. Because again, just seeing the clarity, just seeing the colors, the saturation. Arrow did a great job with this Blu-ray. It really
a lot of those are actually still available on Tubi too. So if you want to see them just to check it out and see what we're talking about, but I would suggest watching it on like a really nice television because you will the saturation, the colors,
especially if you're
changes of the colors, the
collector nerds like we are.
The leaves when they flow and stuff. It's just like you have to see
the claymation, especially look really good.
Yeah, it looked pop.
And like you were saying, sometimes they were using that in places where it would be too expensive to do, like the ravine scene where they're falling over all but it's still
More
not
expensive
right.
to
It's
do that
it's
shit.
expensive.
It's
to-
just harder to film
yeah,
that stuff
really hard.
and easier to like do a
I mean, it would have been a cheesy
animation.
green screen as the effect is usually how people
and
would have
those
done
those
it.
look terrible
Yeah,
sometimes.
they
And
almost
so
always do.
but it looks great on animation because you can kind of just animate them to look like that
Right.
and
So
stuff.
if
And
you've got the
you're not
money,
risking the actors' lives
right,
potentially.
but if you've got the money and you have somebody who's got the skill, you can really add a lot to the film, and it adds an extra level of entertainment too. That's really, really cool. And they add, there's a lot of that claymation in the film too. It's not like just one scene.
Oh, definitely.
So yeah, it was really, really cool. It's got a little bit of everything. Just had a puppet, I would have been really happy. I'd have been super pleased.
Oh man, I wish I brought my puppet out. I had a puppet. As well, it's my was it my great nephew's puppet, but it was really a hand puppet. It's sweet.
Ah,
You saw it in the house. You probably just didn't
yeah,
recognize it.
yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you guys for checking this out.
Mm.
Next month is Paul's, and who knows what he's gonna subject me to, but whatever it will be, it'll be fun.
I usually go with how I'm feeling. What am I feeling like today?
Magic Lizard.
Yeah, pick something out of the blue.
Yeah.
Magic Lizard, awesome movie. Zampoti Sands.
All right. Anyway, that was one of our movies for What They Have Friday. So please go check one of those episodes out.
And unlike that movie, this was a really well done film.
Yeah.
Most of the ones we tend to put on What the Fuck Fridays, a lot of them are kind of crappy.
Yeah. This was a little higher on
Better. Greasy
high
Strangler was pretty
total.
high too.
I mean, but that's still indie. Like that didn't cost nearly as much as it
Right,
probably cost.
Right.
This probably
No,
cost
they
good.
they spent some money on this.
They did, and for good reason.
And well done. Well done,
yes.
sir.
Yeah, so Takashi Miike, we salute you. So thank you. Thank you for making such great art.
Absolutely.
We'll do audition or Ichi the Killer at some point for like probably not What the Fuck
Well, I was
Friday.
gonna say those would be two movies that we should definitely save for Kate Phoenix and her extreme movie.
Yeah.
Those
are
definitely two.
extremes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that'll be
Kate would love to see those. If she hasn't already.
if she
I'm
hasn't
sure
already. All right. Well, thank you guys for checking this out and join us next month. Until then, bye.
Okay. Boop.